Good morning, esteemed members of the panel. In the fast-paced hospitality industry, communication is more than just an exchange of information. It is the cornerstone of guest experience. Our research entitled Customer Satisfaction Towards Communication Skills of Fast Food Employees situated in Laguna focuses on this critical dynamic. We grounded our study on Moravian 7, 38, 55 communication model, which posits that a staggering 93% of meaning is conveyed through nonverbal cues, specifically tone of voice and body language, while only 7% comes from actual words. In high-pressure environment like fast food branches in Laguna, these cues become vital for maintaining positive experiences and handling customer conflicts professionally. Despite the evolving expectation for both speed and quality, research suggests that service often falls short due to lack of attention to detail and inadequate interactions. By examining the gap in satisfaction regarding verbal and nonverbal skills, our study aims to highlight how this interaction serves as the foundation for operational success and customer retention. This leads us to the core of our investigation. The primary aim of this study is to assess customer satisfaction regarding the communication skills of fast food employees in selected branches within Calamba, Cabuyao, and Santa Rosa, Laguna. We specifically sought to identify how these skills influence satisfaction and to provide evidence-based recommendations for improvement to guide our analysis. We address the following research questions. What is the demographic profile of our respondents in terms of age, gender, and store location? What is the level of communication skills of the employees as perceived by customers, specifically focusing on the three pillars: words, tone of voice, and body language? Is there a significant difference in these perceptions when customers are grouped according to their demographic profiles? Is there a significant relationship between the level of communication skills and the resulting customer satisfaction? By answering these questions, we aim to offer actionable insight for management to enhance their service standards through more effective, data-driven training.
So, to achieve the objectives of our study, we employed a quantitative research approach using the descriptive correlational method. This design allowed us to not only describe the current level of customer satisfaction regarding employee communication, but also to examine the relationship between these variables. So our primary research instrument was a self-made questionnaires. This tool was divided into two sections. So part 1 collected demographic information such as age, gender, and store location. So part 2 measured satisfaction across the three pillars of communication. So words, tone of voice, and body language using a 4-point Likert scale. To ensure the instrument accuracy, it underwent pilot testing with 30 individuals and was validated by academic experts for clarity and reliability. So to achieve the objectives of our study, we employed a quantitative research approach using the descriptive correlational method. This design allowed us to not only describe the current level of customer satisfaction regarding employee communication, but also to examine the relationship between these variables. So our primary research instrument was a self-made questionnaires. This tool was divided into two sections. So part 1 collected demographic information such as age, gender, and store location. So part 2 measures satisfaction across the three pillars of communication. So words, tone of voice, and body language using a 4-point Likert scale. To ensure the instrument accuracy, it underwent pilot testing with 30 individuals and was validated by academic experts for clarity and reliability. So moving on to our participant, the study utilized purposive sampling to select respondents who had direct personal experience with the service at fast food establishment in Laguna. A total of 306 customers participated in the study. Our demographic data revealed several key insights. So by age, the majority of our respondents, a total of 164, were between 18 to 24 years old, representing a convenience-first mindset often found in student and early career professionals. By gender, the sample was composed of 176 males and 128 females. So by location, the data was gathered across three key cities in Laguna. So Kabuya provided the highest participation with 114 respondents, followed by Santa Rosa with 105 and Calamba with 87. So the data collection was conducted through a dual approach utilizing both physical survey papers and online Google form to ensure a broad reach and convenience for our respondents. Throughout this process, strict adherence to the Philippine Data Privacy Act of 2012 was maintained to ensure the confidentiality and anonymity of all. To ensure the accuracy and reliability of the findings, we applied several statistical tools to process the data gathered from the 306 respondents. The following measures were used to interpret the result. So frequency and percentage. Distribution, this was used to summarize the demographic profile of the respondent, especially for categorizing them by age, gender, and store location. So weighted mean this tool was applied to assess the level of customer satisfaction across the three pillars of communication: words, tone of voice, and body language. Each response from the 4-point Likert scale was calculated to determine the aggregate assessment for each category. So, inferential analysis, t-test, and p-values to determine if there were significant difference in communication satisfaction. Based on demographic, the study utilized paired sample t-test. The resulting p-values set at provided the basis for rejecting the null hypothesis. So coherence and edge correction. These were used to measure the effect size, indicating the strength of the relationship between the demographic variables and the perception of service quality. Cronbach alpha. This statistical measure was employed during the pilot testing phase to ensure the internal consistency and reliability of the self-made questionnaire, with a coefficient of 0.70 or higher considered acceptable. These tools allowed us researchers to move beyond simple description and perform a deep correlational analysis of how communication skill directly influence customer satisfaction in Laguna's fast food industry.
We shall now proceed to the heart of our study, the presentation and interpretation of our data. Our analysis is divided into the demographic profile of our respondents and their assessment of employee communication skills. Looking at our first three tables, we see a clear picture of the fast food consumer in Laguna. In Table 1 shows that our market is predominantly young,
with the 18 to 24-year-old bracket making up over 50% of our respondents. Table 2 indicates a majority of male respondents at 57.5%, while Table 3 highlights Cabuyao as our most active location. These figures suggest that our findings primarily reflect the expectation of a young, mobile, and convenience-oriented workforce and student body. In Table 4, we assess the use of right choice of words in communication. This category earned an aggregate mean of 3.36, interpreted as strongly agree, while customers highly appreciated employees proactively confirming orders. The lowest mean in this category involved the use of concise and appropriate terminology. This suggests that while scripts are followed, there is a need for more direct and simplified language during peak hours. Table 5 presents the results for tone of voice, which earned a high aggregate mean of 3.40. The interpretation is clear. Customers in Laguna are highly sensitive to vocal warmth. They respond positively to employees who remain patient and enthusiastic, even in high-pressure situations. The lowest score here was for matching tones to the situation, indicating a need for more expressive communication when handling complaints or issues. Table 6 covers nonverbal communication, which also achieved a mean of 3.40. This confirms that body language is just as important as a spoken word. Customers noted that professional posture and facial expressions are the primary ways they judge an employee's sincerity. However, we found that maintaining intentional eye contact and professional distance were areas that required more careful balance. Finally, our inferential tables are the most revealing. By utilizing details and analyzing p-values, we found a significant difference in satisfaction levels when grouped by age, gender, and location. Because all p-values were 0.00, we formally rejected all null hypotheses. Specifically, we discovered that body language is the most gender-sensitive and location-sensitive. Gender-sensitive and location-sensitive variable. This means that what a male customer in Calamba finds professional, a female customer in Santa Rosa might perceive differently. This proves that communication satisfaction is not uniform. It is deeply personal and geographic. After a comprehensive analysis of the data and thorough review of the results, the proponents have arrived at the following conclusions. First, we have successfully established that communication is a unified system. Our study confirms that while the words spoken are important, they only form a small part of the customer's perception. In the fast food industry of Laguna, body language and tone of voice are the true drivers of satisfaction. A high mean of 3.40 across these nonverbal categories proves that customers equate professional posture, sincere facial expressions, and a warm vocal tone with high-quality service. Second, our research has fundamentally disproven the idea of a universal customer experience. By formally rejecting all null hypotheses, we have shown that satisfaction is deeply personal. A customer's age, gender, and even the city where they dine, be it Calamba, Cabuyao, or Santa Rosa, significantly change how they perceive and judge an employee's communication. This proves that a rigid, one-size-fits-all approach to service is no longer sufficient in a diverse market. Finally, we have concluded that perceived competence is built on adaptability. The significant relationship between our variables suggests that an employee must master the 738-55 rule of communication to be truly effective. If any one element, words, tone of voice, or body language is out of sync, the overall customer satisfaction is compromised. In closing, this research serves as a call to action for the hospitality industry in Laguna. It is time to transition from scripted service to adaptive service. By understanding that the customer identify influences their expectations, fast food establishments can foster more meaningful interactions, ensure higher loyalty, and set a new standard for service excellence.
Based on the significant findings and the conclusion drawn from our study, the proponents respectfully submit the following recommendations. These are designed to bridge the gap between current employee performance and the high expectation of Laguna fast food market. First, regarding words, our data showed that the lowest weighted mean was in the use of concise and appropriate terminology. Therefore, we recommend the fast food establishment to refine their training and to focus on linguistic simplicity. Employees should be encouraged to avoid overly complex jargon or robotic script instead of using simple, understandable, and direct language that maintains efficient and clear ordering process. Second, regarding tone of voice, we found that employees struggled most with matching their tone to a specific situation, particularly during the service recoveries or conflicts. We recommend that managements conduct vocal expression workshop. This session should train employees to pivot their tone and becoming more empathetic and apologetic when issues arise, and warm enthusiastic energy during standard transaction. Third, regarding body language, since nonverbal cues carry the highest satisfaction weight but also the most sensitivity, we recommend specialized nonverbal training. Specifically, training should focus on the balance of intentional eye contact and professional distance. Employee must learn to read the customer's personal space boundaries to ensure that guests feel valued but never crowded or uncomfortable. Fourth, the management and the HR policy. We strongly advocate for a more move towards demographic adaptive service models because satisfaction varies significantly by age, gender, and city. A one-size-fits-all approach is no longer effective. Management should empower employees with the flexibility to adapt their communication style based on the profile of the customers they are currently serving. Finally, the future researchers, we recommend that future studies expand the geographical scope beyond the 3 cities mentioned or include a qualitative component such as interview to deeper explore the why behind customer perception or body language. By interpreting these strategies, fast food branches in Laguna can ensure that every interaction, whether verbal or nonverbal, is an opportunity to exceed customer expectations.